welcome to Chick Chat and Chill. So today we're talking about vaccines. I'm Antoinette, one of your hosts. I'm the owner of Pixel This. It's a design studio that does everything to promote your brand, your business, your service, your product, whatever. We could definitely take care of your needs. And I will introduce my co-host, Laura.
Hello, I'm Laura Fickett. I am your financial education coach. I love to help people make more money, manage it better, and retain it to build their wealth. I help individuals, business owners, anyone that wants a free consultation that wants to level up their financial game. I am your gal. I have a CPA and MBA. I use all my tools and all God's given talents to help people become wealthy. And I'm very excited about this topic, not because I am getting the jab myself, because that's never going to happen. But this is the first time on Chick Chat and Chill that we have a guest today. So I'm going to introduce our guest, Chrissy. She has some experience with the jab.
Unfortunately, with the jab, and I'm here to say, never get the jab. Never get the jab.
So when I was younger, I know that even when I had my 4 kids, I went to the doctors, and there's this whole list of, inoculations that you should be getting for your kids. And I was a younger parent. I guess I started having kids in my 20s, and I didn't really do the research. And my parents, I know they didn't do the research because they would have had to open up the Encyclopedia Britannica, to actually do the research. Now we don't really have an excuse, but I didn't do the research. And I'm like, okay, they need these at this certain day, and they would get all kinds of different inoculations. And now things have changed. And so what I'm seeing, and this is completely opinion based, some factual, some information. So just take a grain of salt with anything we have to say today, except for Chrissy's actual firsthand experience. But I'm seeing that these things that are saying that they prevent illnesses aren't preventing anything. What do you think, Antoinette? I just don't think they're working.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing that kind of stands up in my mind is just that, years and years ago, for some of the things like, autism or these autoimmune disease like Crohn's or something like that, maybe they would get one patient in their entire lifetime of their practice would come in the door. Now it's really commonplace. And they actually started looking into this in around 2000 to see when did this start. And they pinpointed to 1989. And the CDC actually did a study on this. And, sure enough, I mean, this is just some sick facts, but they did a study as to causation. And it basically was if you got vaccinated within your first 30 days of life for, whatever the things were at the time, you were 11.35 times. This is they call it a causation, a relative risk factor. So anything, if it's 2, it's considered like an actual,
risk.
An actual cause.
Right.
So, for example, if you smoke 20 years, 2 packs of cigarettes a day for 20 years, you'll develop lung cancer. That's a 10 risk. So the thing of getting these diseases and the vaccine is 11. So it's actually higher.
Oh my goodness.
So they've known this, and they're trying to squash it, which is, I think, with putting out this podcast, we have to be careful what we put, on the name and how we do it, because it's going to get pulled down, because that's taking dollars out of, the healthcare industry of what they're trying to do.
You're going to be fact checked.
Yeah, I don't
gosh.
go
Isn't that
ahead. I mean,
crazy?
it was they did a whole study. It was in 2000. It was the Simpsonwood Methodist Retreat in Georgia. You're welcome to fact check. Go ahead.
Well, here's the fact. I remember when the COVID came out and everything. My daughter, she was up in Tallahassee at Florida State. Go Noles. If you're a Gator, go ahead, chomp chomp. But anyway, she. No, I have to do
I'm
that.
a Seminole girl, so you don't have to worry about the chomp here.
But she got COVID, and so, or whatever they call COVID, or whatever they put together in a bottle and sent out as COVID, however you want to think about it. But she got it, and she thought she had some allergies, whatever, and she got past it. But then she went to her primary care doctor for her follow-up, and they were really pressuring her to get this vaccine. And she called me and she said, "Mom, can you please talk to my doctor? she's an adult, but she's like, they're really pressuring me. So I called the doctor, and the doctor, who will not be named, it could be any doctor at this point, but they had said, well, she really should get it because it will lessen the effects. I said, listen, I know 100%. I'm a girl, a math girl. 100% she can get over this illness. Her immune system took care of it. God helped her take care of it. I don't know that she can get over this vaccine if you give it to her. My own mother got the vaccine, got booster, and then they found her unresponsive. And they have no explanation for why she was unresponsive. So why would I go with less than 100%? I know 100% my daughter can get over an illness. Why would she inject something in her body that might be even 99%, which it's probably more like 0.099%. So Chrissy, tell us your story about this particular vaccine, because when I heard it like my heart completely goes out to you, and my brain is scrambling. How do we detox her? So tell us about your story.
God help. I just want to be detoxed from all of this. So back when COVID was going around and everyone was forced to get the jab, I was a single mom, so I had to work. I had no choice. My kids had no choice. Otherwise, they couldn't go to school. So like everybody else, we waited in line. We got the vaccines. And at that time, they don't really go over things that possibly could happen later on. So we knew, I'm a nurse, so we knew that this day was going to come when people were going to start seeing the effects of this shot. Back in November, this past November, I was running 8-minute miles. I was training for a half marathon. I started to get a respiratory infection and not feeling well. Went to the doctor, found out I ended up having walking pneumonia. They sent me home. Several weeks later, I went through the whole medication regimen and everything. I still was not feeling good. I couldn't lay down. My chest was killing me. I'm like, what is going on? And I couldn't run. I think that was like the biggest thing. And I've always been physical. And the fact I couldn't run, I was like, something's wrong. I went up a flight of stairs to go check a house on the beach side and fell back 3 stories. And then in the ER, and I knew something was wrong. Didn't know at the extent of what it was. I found out because of the jab, a side effect is myocarditis. And the thing that people do not understand about myocarditis, you can't just find that out by taking a chest x-ray. You have to get blood work. You have to get an echo. You have to actually have your heart looked at, which a lot of doctors aren't going the extra measures when you have a respiratory infection to be able to do that, because the respiratory infection actually triggers the myocarditis, from what I was told. And this is how it worked. I've been to 8 cardiologists.
And this is just since last November?
This is just since last November. I have 30% of heart function right now. I was in stage 3 congestive heart failure because it was left untreated, undiagnosed, the myocarditis. And other people, I thank God every day, my situation could have been a lot different, because people I've spoken to have lost a lot of loved ones. A 17-year-old in Texas, her mother just reached out to me. She just passed away on Valentine's Day. Her 17-year-old daughter got a respiratory infection, myocarditis, got the jab, didn't know that was a side effect. Found her unresponsive upstairs. Her heart exploded when she got to the hospital. She didn't survive. And these are one of the many stories now that are coming out to me, and they all are saying the same thing. It's a side effect of the jab. And now look at even now, the heart conditions in young boys. It's huge that they can't play sports anymore because of the side effects of myocarditis and different things it causes. And like now I have 30% of my heart working. I'm relying on medication that it's going to continue to get better. If it doesn't, then the surgical options come into play. So you can have a heart transplant, you could have pacemakers, you could have all these different things to come in to try to get your heart back to strength of where it was. I have tingling in my fingers. My eyesight's horrible now. I had to get a whole new prescription because the blood's not pumping to the extremities as much. That's why I wear these. I can hear better. So all of your extremities come second place when your heart's not pumping at a fraction it should be.
And you don't have to tell us how old you are, but in the age range.
I don't mind saying I'm 44. I'm 44 years old, and I was running 8-minute miles, healthy as anything, the first week of November. I have not been able to. I've walked a mile the first time at cardiac rehab last week. I felt horrible for days. I have to space it out because of how bad I've fatigued so bad, and I just feel awful all the time. And I went from no medications to actually 11.
Wow.
In 3 months now I've had to be on, which my body's not handling very well because I've been so natural before that.
Now, I mean, I'm a financial coach, and so I'm always tracing the money, and I'm thinking, okay, 11 medications, going through insurance,
You don't even want to
all
know.
the doctor's appointments.
And then there's this
That's
one
a lot of money.
Jardins that I'm on. It's an actual diabetic medication. It's so crazy because diabetic medications seem to be given to everybody for everything now. There's a heart component in it that strengthens your heart. So I have to take this every month. It's $750. Every month I have to fight with the insurance company. They don't think I should be on it. They think I should be on metformin. So every month I have to go back and say, no, the cardiologist put me on this. They have to have a pre-authorization. Every month this is the same thing. And this is just one of the 11 medications and one of the many doctor's appointments. I have 3 different cardiologists. I have 2 regular doctors. I have all these specialists now for my retinas, my everything. It's just
I can't,
all because of the jab.
I just can't believe too. Like I go into Publix and I see people like waiting, and people are still signing up to get this inoculation, and
Nobody's talking about it, and everybody's
don't
being fact
understand.
checked. Nobody's talking about this
Yeah,
until you guys
can't-
are. You know? Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to like put security and bulletproof my car.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like I'm a statistics girl. Like I said, I mean, obviously going back now, you wouldn't have done it, but there's so many things that are coming out. And on the CDC website, it talks about this myocarditis. It talks about it, and people are
And
just
turbo
like,
cancers. That's the other thing. All of my cardiologists have said. There's these turbo cancers that are exacerbated. I mean, you look at some of the people that have gotten the COVID shots, they don't have just stage 1, we're going to help you. They've got 4 fighting for their lives or dying because it happened so fast no one can get to them.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, and feel free to comment on this thread when you watch it, because you're going to watch it, right? From Massachusetts, she was perfectly healthy, and she got the jab. And then, 6 months later, they find stage 4 breast cancer. They do everything they possibly can to figure out where it comes from. And they gave her a letter saying it came from an outside source. She doesn't have like the BRCA gene. It's not running through her family. Like she was perfectly fine before. It's not like she was in stage 1, stage 2. She just went from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
And now her whole entire life has been completely impacted, and all of the visits, all of the doctor's appointments, all of the medication, all of the treatments, the chemotherapy. I look at all the numbers and I'm like, that's millions, billions, trillions of dollars that this one thing has created for these companies. And somebody said to me, you can fact check this, I don't know, that Pfizer in all the years in business has never actually like cured any kind of.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it either. But I'm sure that if we check how much money they're making, it's huge. And to impact people's lives like this, I mean, I commend you for running in the first place, because I only run when the lights are on behind me. But
I was training because my goal was to run the marathon for my 45th birthday, the New York City Marathon. I got lotteried into it. I found out I was pregnant a few years back, so I couldn't do it. And my goal was to do it. And I know I won't get there this year because right now, even to heal from this myocarditis session, they said it'll be 6 to 12 months if the medication works. If not, then you have to go through surgical things. So I really don't know what my future holds. And not only that, ever since I've had CHF and myocarditis and all this, it's going to be a constant thing where I have anxiety now. Just if I catch a cold, it could trigger it again. And I'm terrified. Like when I go to the doctor now and he says, we'll do a chest. No, you're not. You're going to run blood work and you're going to do an echo. And we're going to do this every time because I am not going to go left undetected and be where I was. I was very fortunate that I had gone when I did. My BNI number, it's supposed to be like, I think under 150. Mine was almost 7,000.
Wow.
When they first checked me, and I was septic. It was horrible.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, 44 years old. Like this should be the basically the prime of your life, and you were healthy.
That's exactly why I lasted
person.
as long as I did. That's exactly why I lasted as long as my body was fighting it like crazy, but the fluid just kept building up, and
Wow.
yeah.
The thing that I find upsetting too is like Congress gave immunity to these vaccine companies in 1986, so they can't even be sued. They have kind of like a vaccine court, but it's like it's terrible.
Well, it's hard to trace too, right? I mean,
but then also too,
No, my card's got its lot number. Your COVID, you have a card number. Did you all get, or you didn't get the shots?
No.
So when you get your COVID shot, you actually, and I have it, the card with the lot number, what shot it was, what date it was given, And I kept that. And when you went on cruises and stuff, you had to have your shots and everything with this number and everything on it. So it is traceable.
Yeah.
Well, the shot is traceable,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, I remember somebody talking about this lawsuit that this person got sent home and they had a heart attack and then they ended up passing away, and they went to court about it, and they said, well, did the doctor actually cause the person to pass away? And they said, well, no, it's the heart attack that caused the person to pass away. And so if they try and trace it, they could probably come up with 1,000 other things. Well, it could have been this and it could have been that. But I mean, come on, like all these people are getting jabbed and then they're getting sicker and sicker, and then they're still getting COVID. Like,
I don't know.
a vaccine is supposed to prevent something, and it doesn't.
I think everyone always looks for somebody to blame. And with this, I'm going to say it's Fauci, because with him not pushing it like he did, I flat out say it. I know I could be controversial here. So we've talked about this on my show. I would completely hold his feet to the fire for all of this. But now with all of this, what can you do? I mean, besides class action lawsuits at the state level, there's really nothing you can do. And I'm going to be dealing with this for my whole life. And I have to fight for now trying to even get disability. That's another joke. You guys should do a show about that. People that get sick, it takes months to get disability. If you're very sick, it takes months to apply for it. The process is grueling. Then if you get failed, then you've got to get an attorney. Then you got to go through this whole thing again. So you could be waiting a year or two plus with no money at all, can't work, pay for all these medications. What do people do?
And here's the thing is, even as a financial coach, like money isn't going to solve real problems. Money can't solve. Okay.
Yep.
Money can solve certain problems, but real problems like this, no matter how much money they give you, you can't reach your full potential in your life, with this going on.
Just think 11 medications, that's not including your copays for your doctor's appointments, your ER stays, all of the stuff that it entails, the procedures you have to have constantly. I have to have an echo every other month.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane.
But this is just one thing too. Like COVID, there's other vaccines out there. Like there's
flu.
that MMR, which has been linked to autism like crazy.
My nephew, he was one.
Yeah.
Beautiful little boy, walking fine, talking and everything. Had
and
that
then
MMR.
Same. Yeah.
6 months later. Not even. It was like 3 months later. He has autism now. He was nonverbal for several years.
And here's the thing is, it's not like we're just hearing about it from some place and like somebody in Uganda or whatever. These are actually, I'm sitting next to Chrissy right now who is having these symptoms. One of my friends, my mother, her nephew, like these
both
are
of
people.
my brothers died from, they both got the shot. They're the only two in my family that got the shot. Both died.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. That's horrible.
And they didn't even want to do an autopsy. They were like, no, that's okay. We'll just say natural causes. I'm like, natural causes?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's what they would say.
Yeah.
The thing is obviously I believe that my body was designed to take care of itself.
Do they think it was cardiac related? I'm sorry, but do they think your brother's was cardiac related?
They didn't even bother.
Unresponsive?
It had to have been cardiac related.
I'm assuming because most of the things with COVID have to do with heart, blood pressure. I mean, there's some things like Bell's palsy is one of the things, but that's usually can get remedied or whatever. But yeah.
All these people dropping dead, it has to be cardiac related.
Yeah.
But if you think in our 40 years of life, like I said, I try to reduce the inflammation in my body, trust that God designed my body to heal itself. But in my 40 years of life, I have never seen so many people negatively impacted by something that's being administered to the public as I have in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory if it's true. It's not like, I just think. No, I mean, add up the numbers. It's happening all across the globe where people are having negative effects to whatever's being injected into their body.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at autism alone, no one could deny autism. There's 1 in 36 kids now with autism.
Yep.
Boys are 4 times as likely to have autism than girls. Autism was unheard of. Like, do you know anyone in their 70s who has autism? It wasn't around. It was the MMR shot. They have causation, and there's just this cover up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, how old is Rain Man? Maybe. Just kidding.
But
that was the 80s or 90s.
But even then, who knew somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was kind of that one oddity. I mean, I'm not saying that it didn't exist or whatever, but it wasn't 1 in 36.
It wasn't so widespread.
No.
Like it is right now.
No.
Exactly.
And it's scary because the Wuhan lab is keep producing things that they're talking about or getting out and doing stuff. Their government, do you think they're going to push us again to do this? I know I will never get anything ever again. And because of my medical condition, I could probably get away with it now. But do you think this will happen again? Where the government's going to say you have to have it?
I absolutely think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my personal opinion is that they primed people to line up and get shots because with the flu vaccine, we'll give it to you for free. So every year people started line up, and we're creatures of habit. So when the COVID vaccine came up, people just lined up and they got it. And it's such a big moneymaker. And like I tell people about my mother, okay, so my mother was collecting Social Security in a nursing home. She passes away. What happens to her Social Security? It didn't go to me and my siblings. It just goes back to the government. So like there's money making situations there where now they no longer have to pay it out for these people that are drawing on the system.
How did you guys get away with not getting the jab?
I just didn't
well,
go.
just don't go anywhere.
I mean,
So like, well, and I guess it's good you guys own your own company, so you didn't have to anyone telling you
but I
from a
was
corporate level.
I mean, I had at that time I had a client for a big global conglomerate that was kind of but I just said absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're
I'd
very
rather
lucky.
not
Yeah.
work, or I'll find something else. Like even in I was living in New York at the time, and there they did all the nurses had to have it, all the cops had, like anyone, and a lot of people just left their jobs because in the end your body, your decision. And
I was terrified that as a single mom because you saw the jobs went away and nobody was working, no one was going anywhere.
No,
I didn't want to end up in a cardboard box, and I was like, I got to do what's best for my family. And at that point, but again, I didn't think of, and I should have later on down the line. Oh my gosh, now look where I'm at.
But we were led to trust, right? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I was fortunate that in 2019,
trust.
In 2019, God had such a strong pull on me to move from Massachusetts to Florida. And it was before the election and before COVID. And I was so fortunate, I feel, to be down in Florida during that time period. But my oldest, she was going to college up at UMass Amherst. And she ended up transferring to Florida State because the regulations up in Massachusetts were different than down here in Florida. So my family was fortunate. And you asked, like, how did we get away with it? Yes, because I have my own business, so I can run my own situation. But my husband, I mean, he does so much research. He's so intelligent when it comes to those things. He was like, he hasn't even been tested for COVID. Like, never mind being jabbed. We would rather like not work, like Antoinette said, but the fear factor of like, I need to support my children.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do in those situations? If you don't know a financial coach like me that can help
you. Yeah, you weren't here in Florida during that time.
I'm sorry, Chrissy. She just didn't connect with me. But really, it's a fear.
It is.
Right? You either do this or you're going to be out on the street or you're going to be in a cardboard box. You're not going to be able to afford things.
And then there was such a stigma. No one wanted to be around you because you didn't get the jab or
well, that's a benefit, Chrissy.
Well, yeah. Well, now it is. But you couldn't go on cruises. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, remember how even to like go to theaters or stuff back, you had to prove your card at the thing. I was like, really? So yeah.
I never learned how introverted my family actually was
until then.
So I'm like, our life didn't change that much, really. The kids were home from school.
But like the thing that I think upsets me the most is it isn't so much that this is out there or the people opted for it. It's that I don't think anybody should be forced to do these things, or even like your kid can't go to public school unless you get some kind of exemption that's religious. As a parent, you should be able to decide what is best for your child. And as an adult, you should be able to decide what is best for you. The fact that with these vaccines, they're actually bribing kids with like, we'll give you pizza and cookies if you get it. And they didn't even require parental consent in a lot of areas. And that is just disgusting.
That's wrong.
Mean, that's very wrong. And the fact that there's any cover up that if you want to say anything negative or bad about it, you have to be careful how you put it out there on social media.
Isn't that insane?
Otherwise, it's the equivalent of them throwing me in a closet and putting duct tape on my mouth.
Every time I talk about my story, I have, especially on Facebook, I have to say the jab. Otherwise, I get fact checked or blocked for 30 days.
Yeah, it's completely
Just by
insane.
sharing my story so people know, hey, when you go get it, you might want to ask what the side effects are.
I remember my son, like,
crazy.
even, during the whole entire period going to school, he has respiratory induced asthma. So, like,
Oh boy.
to even wear a mask or anything like that, it can cause
Yeah.
problems breathing. So he didn't wear a mask. Like, thankfully, the doctor that we had, like, wrote us a note that it was more traumatizing for him to wear a mask and he was one of the only kids. And I remember my daughter saying to him, like, how does it feel to be in school, like being the only one in an elementary
Pretty
school?
awesome.
Like, he said, well, if they think that protects them, then it's perfect. If they're all wearing a mask, then they're
It
fine.
shouldn't
And
matter.
eventually, he knew. He said eventually people will come around and they won't be wearing. And he was 9 or 8 at the time. But even to go along with the jab, like, people think these masks. I saw people in the supermarket drop the mask on the floor, pick it up, and then, like, put it back in their pocket, and then take it out of their pocket and put it on their face. And I'm like, well, I just walked there. Like, I could have stepped in dog
What
poop.
about the
like,
bejeweled
oh
ones
my
that had all of
goodness.
the
I
air
did
openings?
that.
I did that. I ordered them off of Facebook.
It was so not a mask.
I know, so
It
not a
just-
mask. It was just there for face art, is what I call them. I had
Yeah.
the bejeweled one on
It
Amazon.
was like, I'm wearing this to make everyone else happy, but I need to breathe.
yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, I mean, and you had to comply with that kind of stuff too. But it's like, at what point is the government or these companies, like, overstepping?
The weird thing
Right.
about COVID too is, if you notice, my son's had it 5 times. Me and my daughter that live in the same house didn't have it once. And my daughter ended up having it once last year. But until then, he had it 5 times. I wonder also if it's your body, like if you're just susceptible to that. Isn't that weird? Like, I mean, I just find that to be fascinating. We were in a house, and when he first got it, we were like, oh my God, we're going to die. Like, we don't want to be
No.
around you. I'm putting his food under the door or the side or something. No, but no. But everyone was like that because they had the media
Solitary.
shoved fear in all of you. It's so much that, you're going to die. And a lot of people did pass away from, but a lot of people die of pneumonia every year that nobody talks about, or the flu.
Well, that, like, when COVID came out, all of a sudden there was, like, no cancer deaths. There was no, like,
Yeah.
you would be beheaded in a, motorcycle accident, but if you tested positive for COVID, you were a COVID death.
The world stopped.
Yeah.
Yep.
One
And-
thing I thought about social media, and, like, this is just also my opinion, but when COVID was happening, I didn't hear people like, oh, pray for this person, pray for my brother that they have COVID, pray. I didn't hear all of that. And there's a ton of people, like, I'm connected with hundreds or maybe thousands of people on social media. But then after people started getting the vaccine, they would say, like, my friend has myocarditis, my friend has cancer, my friend has this. And I'm thinking, like, beforehand, all of these people were afraid, but there wasn't anybody they were directly connected to that was dying of this disease. Now, after, everybody seems connected to somebody that died that got vaccinated.
Yeah.
So please, we have to wrap things up, but please do your research. Like, if you can pray to God, that's, for me, that's the best. Like, ask him what you should do. But look at Chrissy's account, talk to people. If you're afraid that the finances are going to be an issue or whatever, please reach out to me, and figure it out, because money can't solve the problems that Chrissy's going through right now. And a lot of other people that are in her situation, no matter how much money if she even gets anything from a class action or disability or whatever, her life is completely impacted. I mean, she can't run the marathon that she wanted to run. She can't do a lot of things.
I just want to go back to work.
Or the time that's been taken away from you and your children,
Yeah.
and who knows the long-term effects on your children as a
Exactly.
result too. Like,
And there's a lot of people that died. I mean, it's not even how am I going to work around it? They're not here.
My
yes.
little 7-year-old
Yeah.
comes up to me all the time. Are you having chest pain? Are you going to be okay? And when it all first
Aw.
happened, she was crying. What if something happens to you? And I looked at her and said, what if something does happen to me? Because their dads aren't around to do anything with them. And yeah, it would be a scary ordeal, especially 44, having to sign living wills and things like that now that I've had to actually look at. I've never had to look at before.
the
Yeah.
best thing you can do for yourself is look at your health, look at your nutrition, and build up your immune system yourself,
Yeah.
and not rely on something being put into your body in a supermarket like stand
Yeah.
to take care of yourself. So
in
I mean, there was no ads on, like, I think Krispy Kreme or some donuts or whatever. Like, people love Krispy Kreme. I think they were sponsoring, like, a free jab or something like that. But there wasn't any advertisement like exercise more, eat right, get healthy, because there's diseases that could, hurt you. So I thought, why aren't they telling people to, boost your immune system naturally?
Because it's not a moneymaker.
It's not a moneymaker.
In the end, it all boils down to, do you trust the God who made you with your immune system, or do you trust man in a lab?
Yeah, no.
Because that's what you're doing. You're either putting your trust in one camp or the other. But we do have to kind of wrap things up.
Yeah,
so,
I want to say thank you, Chrissy, for coming
yes,
on.
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
It was great to hear your story so that you can hopefully help people and impact their lives and make them think twice. I mean, Antoinette and I didn't get inoculated, and you did, and we're all on the same page here of don't do it. Don't do it. If statistics say you can survive an illness by, exercising and being healthy, then trust your immune system and don't do it. But thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
We
you
really
for having
appreciate
me.
it. And we're going to wrap things up. So I'm Laura Fickett, and I hope you never stop learning
And never stop laughing. See you next week. Goodbye.